Is this thing on? Oh, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. We're doing another wrap-up. I do these about every 3 months because I detest doing wrap-ups for some reason. We have a lot and we don't have a lot to talk about, I guess. Yeah, awkwardness out of the way. Let's get into today's video. All right. First things first. Yes. What was that? Oh, these. Oh, yes! I am so sorry. How silly of me. Yes, yes, these are glasses. Brought to you by today's sponsor, GlassesUSA.com. Glasses USA is one of the largest prescription eyewear retailers in the United States. They offer thousands, and guys, I mean thousands, of top brands such as Oakley, Gucci, or these slick Ray-Bans. What is going on? I look like I should be riding a motorcycle somewhere on the East Coast. GlassesUSA.com is changing the game with their really cool new app, Perfect Match AI. It's like having a professional style you for glasses, but even better. Perfect Match AI uses advanced technology that analyzes your face and perfectly matches you with the style of frames that fit your look. Just like this. Ah, see? Look at that. It's simple. All you do, use your phone to scan your face. Step 2, answer a couple of quick questions, and Perfect Match does the rest. The best part is it's completely free, and you can do it from anywhere. These are 3 frames that I was matched with. Comment down below how good these look. Pretty neat, huh? I feel like I could freaking conquer the world in these things. As someone who does content creation online, I often am looking at screens. And so finding the perfect pair of glasses to help me with the blue light problem in my life, but also that helps me feel stylish, was a great experience. It beats going to the store. If you're ready to find your perfect match today, click on the link in the description and go to GlassesUSA.com. Glasses USA is giving my viewers only $10 off on top of any coupon or existing sale. Don't wait, seize your deal and find your new favorite pair today. Thank you once again to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring this video. Back to the wrap-up. All right, July. It's hard for me to remember exactly everything I did 3 months ago on YouTube. I have to go back and look. I know that the very first book that I finished in July was Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. 1160. What the fetch am I doing? I was gonna time myself with this. All right, folks, how this is gonna work is I'm only giving myself 60 seconds. 60 seconds to talk about each of these books. Some of these books I've read 10 plus books since, so it's gonna be hard for me to kind of remember a little bit, but here we go. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. This imposing beast of a book stands at a whopping 1168 pages. It is definitely literary fiction. The story is about a bunch of business, a bunch of business tycoons fighting against the government. This book has a lot of political commentary, socio-economic commentary, social commentary. Ayn Rand was a philosopher in her own right, and this book stands the testament of time, to be honest. It was a crazy plot. I enjoyed the plot. I didn't enjoy some of the tangents that she went on. I didn't rate this book, and I'm still not rating this book. I would urge you to read this if you're interested in philosophy and if you want to gain a new perspective on life in general. 59 seconds, 41! We're doing good. I hope that was okay. All right, the next book that I read was The Colorless Suguru Tazagani's Years of Pilgrimage by Murakami. This book is about a man who, this is a story about a man, I'm putting too much pressure on myself. This is a story about a man who gets abandoned by his friends, but they don't tell him why. And so he goes on a journey confronting each of these people about why they shunned him out of their lives. It's a very tragic story, it's very sad, but it's also an introspection on, what does it mean to be loved and what does it mean to love, and also it's a very deep dive, deep look into the relationship between friends, especially friends that are more than friends, more like siblings that really can shape a life or damage a life. I really enjoyed this book. I forget what I think I gave it like a 3-star all the way around because the writing style was not to my taste. I very much think this is a book worth reading, especially if you're wanting to get into Murakami. I wondered why I had so much time. I am doing stopwatch instead of timer. Gosh, dang it, Ian. No freaking wonder. Yeah, it was a good book. All right, the next book that I read in July was Good Morning Monster by, who's it by? Katherine Gildener. This is a non-fiction book by a psychologist. She shares 5 different stories of very tragic childhoods. I mean, goodness gracious, this book was amazing. I really don't know what to say. It's one of the best non-fiction books I've ever read. It still felt like it had a narration and a narrative voice that was telling stories and telling them well. It felt like a book of short stories of people who have terrible lives or who had terrible lives. I don't know how to describe it. These are very sad stories, so No! Trigger warnings. That's all I have to say. I gave it a 4-star. Next book that I read was Fahrenheit 451. I was shocked at how good this book was. This book is about a firefighter. His job is to burn books. Because it's illegal to own books, it's illegal to read books in this dystopian version of the United States. However, his worldview gets confronted by a neighbor who questions him whether or not he's read any of the books that he's supposedly burning because of peace and justice and it's the law. That sets him on a path of reading some of these books and realizing maybe his entire life is a lie. And it's one man's struggle against tyranny. Ray Bradbury has one of the best readable prose I've ever read. Definitely like a 4.5. Excellent, excellent book. Yeah! Freaking slammed it! Alright, the next book that I think let's restart that. Alright, the next book that I read in July was Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. The second book in the Farseer trilogy. Excellent, excellent sequel novel. We pick back up with our main man Fitz and his crappy life. I swear, this boy has a terrible life. The political intrigue and the medieval feel to this world and Robin Hobb's gorgeous prose just sets a scene that's unforgettable. I loved this book. It's definitely a chunky, slow burn book and the ending is incredible. I mean, crazy, crazy good book. Definitely like a 4.25. And the last and final book that I read in the month of July was Blood Standard by Laird Barron. This is crime, noir, thriller, fiction, incredible. We follow our main character, Isaiah Coleridge. He's a person with connection to the mob. He steps on some mob boss's toes, and he's relocated by the family from remote Alaska to upstate New York. This kind of turns into a missing persons case where he's no longer involved with the mob, but this young girl goes missing, and so he goes on the manhunt to try to find her for her family. The stuff that he unearths and discovers, and the dangerous people that he has to interact with. This was a very thrilling novel from beginning to end. Laird Barron's prose is exceptional. His wit, his humor, his vocabulary, insanely good. I give this a solid 4 stars for a beginning novel. Incredible. That's July. All right. August. I forgot what month I was doing. Start the timer. The first book that I read in the month of August was Black Mountain by Laird Barron. This is the sequel to Blood Standard. We pick back up with Mr. Isaiah Coleridge. He is now a private detective. We're tracking down a serial killer who's killing people that have connections to the mob, and of course he has connections to the mob, so it kind of becomes this personal race against time to try to find this person before they find him. It's very dark, very brutal, very grim. Laird Barron has this amazing humor to him, so there's a lightness at the same time, and there's a beautiful romance in the sequel novel. All around, just one of my favorite novels probably of the year so far. Very thrilling, very fast-paced, and if you're into something like True Detective, I don't see why this wouldn't be for you. Definitely 4.75 out of 5. Whew. I wasn't sweating there, I'm getting my groove now. Next was Worse Angels by Laird Barron. Yeah, can you tell there's a trend? I loved this trilogy from beginning to end. Third novel, we pick back up with Mr. Isaiah. He gets hired to kind of investigate this abandoned radiation place, I guess you could call it. But he unearths this weird extraterrestrial cult. No, they're not aliens, these are real people. There's a really creepy cult vibe to this book. I laughed the whole time through this book, but I was also very much gripped. I went to the library and pretty much read this in one sitting. This is a phenomenal novel. Definitely up there with Black Mountain. I give it a 4.75 out of 5. These books are great if you're into crime fiction, if you're into thrillers. I urge you to pick these up. Booyah! What's next? Next up in August, we finished the Farseer trilogy. Assassin's Quest. Definitely the best Robin Hobb book I've read to date. I've only read the Farseer trilogy, so get off my back. But we picked back up with Fitz and his even more terrible life. It's this book alone that's worth the Farseer trilogy. I think all I have to say is dragons. If you want fantasy, and you want it to have dragons, Assassin's Quest. Excellent ending, probably one of the best endings to a trilogy I think I've ever read in my entire life. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Next was Insomnia by my favorite author of all time, Stephen King. This book was not good. And maybe I need to reread it. Maybe I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I started trying to read this back in July and I DNF'd it, and then I picked it back up for a 50-hour challenge in August and almost DNF'd it again. This is so boring. Usually he could pick the most boring task with the most boring characters. I'd still be very interested, but with this book, I don't know what it was. He didn't capture me, and I just ended up not liking it at all. My least favorite Stephen King I've ever read. Definitely like a 3-star, almost on the cusp of I don't recommend this. Yeah. Next book in August was Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Classic. This is a story about a man who has intrusive thoughts about committing a murder, and he ends up committing a brutal double murder and then tries to cover it up. And then the rest of the book is this deep dive and exploration into guilt and pride and crime and punishment. One of the best classics I think I've ever read. Dostoevsky really just captured a feeling with this one. The beautiful undertones of theology and morality just really make this book exceptional among a lot of other books that I've read this year. Crime and Punishment definitely deserves all the praise it gets. I did not rate it, and I still don't want to rate it. Look at us, we're doing it, yes. All right, the last and final book that I read in the month of August was The Last Wish, the first Witcher book by Andrzej Sapkowski. I'm not gonna go into too much detail. I'm doing a long form Witcher vlog, rereading this entire series, but this is the first book you start with. It's a short story collection, introducing you not only to what Witchers are, but to our main character, Geralt of Rivia, and you get introduced to so many other whimsical characters like the bard Dandelion, the sorceress Yennefer. This is definitely one of my favorite Witcher books, hands down. I can't really say much more. All right. Timing myself really made this fly by. All right, next book that I read, what am I saying? First book that I read in the month of September was Sword of Destiny, the second book in the Witcher read-through, another short story collection, building even further on the characters that you meet in the first novel, expanding the stories, expanding the relationships between characters, expanding the history, and the mounting momentum that carries you as the reader into the 5 saga novels. Sword of Destiny has that same feeling that The Last Wish had. Sapkowski is an exceptional short story writer. They're kind of hard to rate because they're not one novel, but let's stop rambling, Ian, shall we? The next book that I read for the month of September was Recursion by Blake Crouch. Now, I don't know if this is coming out before or after the vlog that I filmed this for. From here on out, I'm not going to tell you the ratings of these books that I read because they're all a part of other vlogs that unfortunately are late getting up. So anyway, Recursion by Blake Crouch. People are being plagued with this disease known as false memory syndrome. They're having memories of a life that they never lived, and so it's up to 2 main characters to try and find out the source and the origins of why this is happening and to stop it before the world and time as we know it ceases to exist. Huge plot, very fast-paced. As you can see, it's a very short novel. Stick around for the vlog. That's right. All right, the next book that I read for the month of September was Streets of Laredo by Larry McMurtry. Again, it's part of that same video that Recursion is a part of, so I cannot give you too many details about how I feel about this book. This is the sequel to Lonesome Dove, the greatest Western novel ever written, one of the greatest books I have personally ever read in my life. We're picking back up with Captain Call. He is now a bounty hunter for the US government instead of a retired Texas Ranger. He's on the manhunt for a very dangerous train robber known as Joey Garza. He's killing people and stealing government assets. So, a very thrilling novel about good and evil. Larry McMurtry's prose is always incredible, outstanding, and I think everybody should read this tetralogy. I really do. It scares me every time. All right, the next book that I read, this also belongs to that same video, South of Broad by Pat Conroy. Incredible literary fiction by a literary fiction giant. This group of friends forms in senior year of high school, and they all come from very hard backgrounds. They all have very tragic backstories, but they pull together to become sort of like a family. They stay this close for decades, but they're all brought back together because one of these friends is diagnosed with AIDS. But the crazy part is he's missing, so they have to go and find him and bring him back so that he can die in peace, surrounded by those that he loves. But there's also someone on the hunt, hunting them down. Just wait for this video, it's incredible. Whew. The next book that I read was Season of Storms, a novel of The Witcher. This is technically book 8 in the reading order, but I decided to read it third. It'll get explained in that big Witcher video. Excellent novel. I freaking love this book. This is the second time that I've read this. Geralt of Rivia, the famous Witcher, loses his famous swords, and so this whole book is about him trying to get his Witcher's weapons back, but of course all of the scheming that he gets involved in with wizards and sorcerers and politicians and kings. Just so much happens in this book, and it's so good. It's one of Sapkowski's best. I think when I originally read this the first time, I gave it a 5-star. It's definitely not a 5-star, but it's up there for books that are freaking enjoyable. These next books, I'm not gonna time myself. So these next books, I don't want to tell you what they are. I don't want to reveal them to you, but here's what we got. Yeah, they're blurred. I want to keep these books a surprise because it's part of a very special video that I've been working on. My schedule has been all messed up, and you know, I can't really go into why, but let's just say things have been having to be pushed back, and it's kind of disrupt the schedule that I've created for October. Just be on the lookout for a new video. It is a video that a lot of people have been asking for, been meaning to make ever since May. If that tells you anything, if you want to go back and check out the videos that I made in May, maybe that might tell you what's gonna happen soon. That's it. How many books did I read total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 books. 21 books between July and September. That's pretty good, right? Hopefully this excites you for October. October is supposed to be Kingtober, where the majority of what I produce in October is pretty much reading Stephen King. But I plan on doing several dedicated Stephen King videos, at least 3 or 4 for the month of October. But all the way to October 31st, I'll be making short form content every single day surrounding Stephen King. And so that's gonna be really fun. There's going to be so much content. I'm stressed, but I'm excited. I think we're gonna be able to do it all. So thank you so much for bearing with me and my craziness and my wackiness, you know what I'm saying? I just wanna thank you for not giving up on me. I want to thank you for supporting this channel in any way that you have. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this wrap up. And a huge thank you once again to glassesusa.com. Again, my viewers get an extra $10 off with a special link down in the description. So claim your deal today. And thank you again to glassesusa.com for sponsoring this video. Guys, I'll see you in the next one.